What's going on, YouTube? We're finally back with another video. I know it's been a few days. I've been pretty busy. So we're going to go over picks against the spread for week 2. I wanted to do kind of a trending up, trending down fantasy video on players, but I feel like it's still a little early. Week 1's kind of weird. I think we'll have a better idea after 2 weeks, see who's really not performing, see who's really overperforming than what we were expected. Felt like doing that after week 1 would have been kind of an overreaction. Week 2 might be a little bit early, but I think we have a little bit better of an idea. And then I think I'll probably do a start 'em, sit 'em, just for players that are on the fence of like being your flex, maybe even RB2, WR2. Just my opinion on who you should start. Who you should start that's kind of under the radar. Maybe even guys that you can pick up on the waiver wire that you could throw in over a flex that you have. But yeah, anyways, let's get into the against the spread picks for week 2. So last week we didn't do too bad. Botched a couple picks, mainly the Packers and the Vikings. And then I believe I also said the Titans, so that's not good. I got some of my underdog picks right, though. I got the Eagles and the Texans. I both picked those. They were both underdogs by like 3-4 points. I think both of them were around the same. And then they both won very easily. The Texans just destroyed Jacksonville. The Eagles kind of did the same thing. I liked what I saw from them. So this week the Texans are underdogs by like 13 against the Browns. I think I'll probably be taking the Texans again. I like what I saw. I don't think they're going to win that game by any means, but I think they could make it single digits. And the Eagles, I'm liking Jalen Hurts. He's looking pretty good. He's got a good-looking arm. And, yeah, they just... Devonta Smith looked really good. Miles Sanders looked pretty good as well. That O-line's still looking good. Falcons look pretty bad, too. So maybe the Falcons just didn't look good, and that made the Eagles look better. But yeah, I got both those right. I botched the Washington pick, although I do like Taylor Heineke, but I think that I also got unlucky in that pick with the injury to Fitzpatrick. He only had like 6 attempts. Rashawn Slater looked really good. He really did not let Chase Young do anything. Yeah, and Justin Herbert kind of just resumed where he was. I am high on the Chargers, though. I do have them winning the over on their season total wins. So that wasn't a knock on the Chargers at all. I just really like Washington, too. And I thought the Chargers O-line was going to have some growing pains. I did not think they were going to look that good against Washington's D-line. Week 1 especially. So I botched that pick, but then also I hit the over on the Browns-Chiefs game. I said to take that. And then I also said to take the under on the Dolphins Patriots game, which was under 43.5, and I believe the final score was 17-16. So that one hit pretty easily. So yeah, overall 4-3, not anything to brag about, but week one's weird. I think going over 50% week one is pretty solid. Once things get more consistent, we know more how each team is. I think it should be getting easier. Week one's usually the hardest week, and then I guess towards the end of the year it gets hard too when you don't know until like the last second if the coaches are going to sit people that already have a bye week locked or they already have their playoff seed locked. But yeah, week 2, week 3 are not as tough as week 1, but they're still a little tough. There's still a lot we're not going to expect that's going to happen. And also a lot of stuff in week 1, it'll just like flip. So we think a team like, let's say the Eagles, for example, not saying that they are not going to look good. I believe that they will, but let's just say that they get their butts kicked this week. But I think it would shock me a little bit, but it wouldn't be super surprising. Whereas if they went 4-0 and looked amazing, it happened in week 5. That would shock everyone, and it would probably be like 90% of people losing money. So yeah, hopefully I go over 50% again. Hopefully a little better than 4-3. I think I liked some of the spreads a little more. I was pretty hesitant betting, and so I picked those 7 bets last week. 2 over-unders, 5 spreads. For tonight, the under, it looks pretty tempting. It is very low. I think it could be pretty low scoring. I do not. I think the Giants, their offense is just a mess right now. Defense, they did not really hold up too well against the Broncos. But I am a believer in their defense. I'm sure Joe Judge was hot this week. Yeah, this one's pretty tough. I think I would probably stay away. I think it could be like 2017 in favor of Washington. But there's no way I'm going to bet on the Giants. I was reading somewhere that the Giants have a 6-game winning streak, 6-game winning streak against Washington, which also makes me not want to bet on Washington, but I can't bet on the Giants. I just have no confidence in them. The under is tempting, but I also kind of like Taylor Heineke. The whole week of him practicing, knowing he's going to start, I think he'll look a lot better. He looked pretty decent in that playoff game last year against a pretty stud Bucs defense. So yeah, that makes me not want to take the under either. I don't think the Giants are going to score much. If there's a spread somewhere, if there's an over-under total for Giants that's like 18, that's what I would probably bet on. And I'm sure there probably is one out there somewhere. If it's 3.5 and 40, that means that it's going to be 20 and then 17 for them. Which, yeah, I would take the Giants under 17, but I'm not going to count that as a bet I'm actually taking. Raiders at Steelers. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't think I would take this one either. Raiders, I don't know if they'll ever look as good as they did last week, but we don't know. That's kind of the hard part about week one wins like the Raiders had. And also the Steelers too. But I do think the Steelers, that defense is going to be good again. I think that they should be able to shut down the Raiders, kind of like they did the Bills. But I think the Raiders might have a better idea of what's coming at them. I think the Bills were kind of shell-shocked at how good that Steelers defense was and how good their game plan was. I don't think they were ready. And then the Raiders also have a pretty good run game. They have a pretty good scheme with that they use with Kenyon Drake. Some of those short passes. And then Josh Jacobs is a workhorse. I don't know how. He's kind of limping around a lot, but he's still got 2 touchdowns, and when he did run, he looked good, but then he'd always like limp after the play, which is concerning. But I think he's fine. I'm not hearing any news that he's not going to play or anything. Yeah, I think I'd probably stay away from that one. Steelers at home, it's tempting, but Raiders just, it looks so good. It looks good against a nice, pretty solid Ravens defense. Lamar kind of just had some weird errors, but I would stay away. Bears, Bengals. This one has moved up a little bit from the last time I have checked. Oh yeah, I should mention these are the lines as of 11:30 Central Time on Thursday the 16th. So lines probably will move a little bit before Sunday, but 3 days away, I don't think they'll move drastically unless something happens. The Bears looked so bad, but one thing is, it's week one. I've said this already like 10 times. Week one, we don't know if that's who they truly are, and then also the Rams just looked really good. And I think the Rams are going to be really good this year. I have them winning the NFC West, which you have to be amazing to do that. And they're at home too. Yeah, that one's tough. I kind of like the over on that one more than anything. But I do not think I'll count that as a bet I'm suggesting. Did like what I saw from the Bengals running the ball a lot. I thought that Vikings D-line with Michael Pierce and Delvin Tomlinson, and then you got Kendricks, pretty good run stuffing linebacker. I was really surprised how well Joe Mixon ran the ball, which is concerning for the Vikings, but it also is worrisome for the Bears, because I think that the Bears' run defense is pretty good too, but I think that it's not any better than the Vikings, really, at least on paper. And then if they can run it and then they can pass it, I think that they'll really be able to put up some points. That's kind of why I like the over. Andy Dalton revenge game. Don't think that really matters too much, especially when they're at home anyways. I think that the Bears fans are going to really be loud whenever they put Justin Fields on the field, or if Andy Dalton. I think if Andy Dalton goes 3 and out, you're really going to hear some boos. Um, yeah, it's a tough one. Probably take the over if you're gonna take one. I think that if it was Justin Fields versus Joe Burrow, I would like that over a lot. But yeah, I'd probably stay away just because the Bears are just kind of a weird team right now. So first bet I will advise is going to be the Texans plus 12.5. I'd maybe even take the over on this one too. I like what I saw from that Texans offense. Their defense is pretty crappy, but the offense seemed to hold their own. I know the Jaguars' defense is pretty crummy as well, but I really thought Tyrod Taylor looked good. He didn't have amazing protection or anything. He just was good at scrambling. He had good pocket awareness. He just looked good. And then also their running back trio didn't look too bad. Mark Ingram, Philip Lindsay, David Johnson. None of them looked that old. I guess Philip Lindsay's still pretty young, but Mark Ingram, David Johnson, they're getting pretty old now. They looked like they still had a little spark in them. Brandon Cooks looked very good. I just think 12.5 is a lot. Although Browns at home, that's one thing. I think I like the over actually more. Well, I'm going back and forth now. 47's pretty low though. I think it could be like 30-20. But yeah, that Browns defense looked disappointing. I think they're really gonna look a lot better this week. I just think people are sleeping on Tyrod Taylor, honestly, is my biggest thing. But I guess we'll have to wait till after this game to really know that, since the Browns defense is pretty good secondary. Great edge rushers. But Josh Allen is pretty good on the Jags too. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with my gut. Texans 12.5. Lock that one in. I don't want to do 2 picks on one game, but I'm probably gonna bet the over as well. Rams Colts. I think I'm gonna have to go with the Rams here. They just look so good. I think Colts are still figuring it out. Did not look good last week against the Seahawks. Seahawks looked really good though, but I just think that defense is going to give Carson Wentz trouble. Those receivers trouble. Receivers still kind of figuring it out. They don't have any stud receivers really. I'm sure that one or two of them will start turning it up eventually, whether it's Pascal. Michael Pittman Jr. is my guy that I like a lot on the Colts. Yeah, I think Jonathan Taylor isn't gonna do a whole lot, but we'll see. Colts O-line underperformed. I think they'll look better this week, but I just think that Rams offense is very good. 3.5. I think the Rams should win by 5, 6. Could be more. But yeah, that's a tough one. I'm not gonna decide if I'm locking that one in just yet, but it's on the table. Bills, Dolphins. I'm going with the Bills on this one. I'll lock that one in. I think the Bills are going to be working really hard this week. Dolphins coming off a pretty big win against the Patriots. Do not know if that momentum will keep going. The over is tempting too. I think the Bills might put up 30 here, but I'll stay away from that. I'll say Bills minus 3.5. That is an easy one. Patriots Jets. The over is kind of tempting. I think the Patriots might put up a lot, and then the Jets are either going to not put up any, or they might score a little in garbage time. Something about Bill Belichick against rookie quarterbacks. It's always been a thing. Yeah, I really do want to do that 5.5, but 5.5 is kind of a lot. I also want to do that over too, but I'm not sure if I'm willing to lock either of those in just yet. Ooh, this next one I'm very excited for. 49ers Eagles. 49ers already running into some injury troubles. Raheem Mostert out for the year. Week 1. We knew he always was going to be missing a few games. I think that's a similar trend each year, is that he misses about like a third of the season, quarter. Out for the year now. D Ford, questionable. I think they might bring back Richard Sherman. Their cornerback room's a little thin at the moment. Brandon Ayuk, I think, is out for this game too. So, a lot of stuff really hurting the 49ers. I think that's why it's only 3.5. It is at home. Yeah, I do really like the Eagles. And I also... yeah, I was going to say over, but... I don't know what the 49ers are going to do on offense. Just keep giving it to Debo and Kittle. Yeah, we'll come back to that one. I do like Eagles 3.5 though. They do have a lot of momentum. Saints, Panthers. Both these teams are really sneaky. That's the hard thing. We kind of knew. Well, we didn't know what we were going to see from the Falcons, but now we kind of know, as of now, that the Saints and the Panthers are possible playoff contenders over the Falcons. I kind of thought before the season started that they all were kind of sneaky. Arthur Smith, I thought he would have. Well, it's only week 2, so I can't write him off just yet, but I was really optimistic that Arthur Smith would make that Falcons defense good. Dan Quinn, offense. That offense good. Dan Quinn being more of a defensive coach. Arthur Smith, offense. I thought they'd get the running game going a little bit, see some nice play action throws to Calvin Ridley, Kyle Pitts. We didn't see it. I do believe they'll look better this week, but in regards to the Saints and the Panthers, they both looked very good. But the Saints did against the Packers. I think the Packers weren't really ready for that game. I think it might have been a fluke. Hopefully Jameis looks like it again. Panthers defense, so kind of underrated. They've got a lot of weapons. Looked pretty solid against the Jets. I do know it's the Jets, but the defense did look pretty good. The offense did not look as good as I was expecting it to look. I know that Darnold looked pretty decent towards the end of the game. He's got that connection still with Robbie Anderson. That receiver room over in Carolina is looking pretty solid. And then Christian McCaffrey too. But yeah, Saints just look so good. I honestly, as crazy as it sounds, I'd probably lean towards Carolina. I'd probably take the over if I'm going to take anything. But also that Panthers defense is pretty good. But that Saints O-line with Kamara, that's just pretty good. I think this one's tough. I think we need to know who the Saints and the Panthers really are. Because the Panthers, they showed flares of what they could be, but it was against the Jets. And then Saints, it was... The Packers just look so bad. And we just don't know if the Saints are going to just ever win another game by double digits again this year, which, if they play like they did against the Packers, they should against shitty teams, but it's just too early. So yeah, I'd probably stay away. Broncos at Jacksonville. That one's tough. 5.5 is pretty big. But I think I'd go with the Broncos here. I think it's kind of a mess over in Jacksonville. Not liking Urban Meyer as a coach so far. Getting embarrassed by the Texans. Who, don't get me wrong, they looked really good. But if the Texans are destroying you, there's no excuse for that. Defense, still pretty elite defense they got in Denver. I don't even think Bradley Chubb was playing. Is he playing this week? Let me look real quick. Iffy to play. So I guess it'll be the same thing. But still, they looked really good. Von Miller still looks good. Patrick Surtain's looking good. Justin Simmons a stud. I think it's definitely going to be much harder of a task this week. And then Trevor Lawrence threw 2 picks against the Texans D, which is not a good D on paper at all. Looked good somehow. Do I want to take the Broncos 5.5 points? I kind of do, honestly. But I'm not going to lock that one in yet. Cardinals Vikings. I don't know how this one... It opened up on Monday, 3.5. I thought it would for sure move a little bit. I don't know how it is not more than 3.5. It almost makes me feel like it's a trap bet. I said do not do the 49ers. It's a trap at 8.5. And then it was the most miracle backdoor cover of all time by the Lions. They were down like 41-17 with 2 minutes left. And then somehow they only lost 41-33. I'm sure it was very heartbreaking for a lot of people. I bet that was one of the more popular bets. It was 49ers 8.5. So, trap bets are a thing. I don't know. I'm not trying to say NFL's rigged, but whatever bet always looks too good to be true, it usually ends up being. And I think that's kind of what this one is. I just have no idea how that Vikings O-line is going to look up to par at all against J.J. Watt, Chandler Jones. Yeah. That O-line is just not looking good. Couldn't really run it against the Bengals, which is bad. Bengals defense looks surprisingly good. Vikings O-line being horrible might have a good deal to do with that. I just don't know how you don't take the Cardinals here 3.5. That's the easiest pick. Yeah, I'm gonna lock them in. So for that trap bet last week, I was hesitant. I wanted the 49ers 7.5. So at 8.5, it's a trap bet. Probably do the same thing here. If it was 5.5, which I think that's what it should be, then I would stay away from it. But 3.5 as of Thursday, lock in the Cardinals. Be careful betting on it around Sunday morning, Saturday, if it's at like 5.5. If you're really confident, still take the Cardinals. But 3.5, I just have to take the Cardinals. I'm sure like 95% of bets are on it. But yeah, that'll be my second lock as of now. Falcons at Bucks with a huge spread of 12.5. I think that I'm going to be locking in the over 51. Bucks D did not look good against the Cowboys. I think that they're going to look a hell of a lot better against the Falcons. But I do think that the Falcons defense looks pretty bad. I think the Buccaneers. So 51, 12.5 spread. That would mean it would be like 32-20 ish. If you can find a spread for the Bucks, just the Bucks, and if it's like over 32, 31, take that over the total over. Bucks, their offense is just so good. I think that the Falcons defense stands no chance. I would do that over the total over of 51, but I don't want to get too into those. I mean, it's still a pretty common bet, but I think way more people are doing the total over team spread. But I will be looking for that bet. Buccaneers over 31, 32, whatever it is. Pick for this game, though, over 51. I think it could end up being like 35-20, something like that. Not going to take Bucks 12.5. This is a tough one. I think I might also lock in the over on this one. It is extremely high, but I'm not too big on the Cowboys defense. I think those turnovers were pretty fluky against the Bucks, and then they still ended giving up like 40 points, whatever the score was. Could have easily been 50 if those interceptions didn't happen. Turnovers. There was only one interception other than the end of the half Hail Mary, which doesn't count. But yeah, both Ronald Jones fumble, the screen mess up, a volleyball touch pass from Fournette. Both in their own like 20 in their own red zone. Yeah, So yeah, not sold on the Cowboys defense. Chargers defense did hold their own. But yeah, like I said, Taylor Heineke, not. I think he kind of just got thrown in there. Probably was not expecting Fitzpatrick to get hurt. But yeah, I think that this one is kind of a toss-up as for the spread, which makes me want to pick the Cowboys. Usually if it's a toss-up and it's at 3.5, I'll take it. But if it's at 2.5, I'll stay away. Just because toss-ups, there's a good chance they'll end in about a field goal difference, which you would lose if you bet on the underdog, which if it's a toss-up, you do want to bet on the underdog. But yeah, that's going to be a fun game. I kind of like that Cowboys spread at 3.5, but I think the over is going to be my pick for that one. I think that's easier. I think both teams easily can score 30. I think the first half also could get crazy. I think I'm going to be taking, if the first half over is like 28, I'll probably take that and stay away from the total. But yeah, that's going to be my lock, over 55 for the Cowboys, Chargers, Titans, Seahawks. It's a pretty big spread. Seahawks at home though, pretty tough. Titans looks very very shitty last week against Cardinals. I'm sure that's why the spread is so high. Over pretty high. Seahawks defense looked pretty good. Yeah, that one's tough. I think that's the Seahawks. I did think they showed what they really are last week. I am a believer in them. I think that they should look good again this week at home. Titans, though, I think the Titans are much better than they looked last week. I think that Seahawks defense is not as good up front than Cardinals are. I think Derrick Henry should be able to run it a little more. 5.5. We'll come back to this one, but I think I have to take the Titans if I were to lock in this one. That one. Chiefs, Ravens. 3.5. I think you gotta go with the Chiefs here. They usually look good against the Ravens. The over is tempting too, but I like the Chiefs spread better. I don't think I locked it in, but I did say I locked in the over last week for the Chiefs. But I did say I like the Chiefs 5.5 against the Browns, which it did not hit. I think the Ravens are kind of a mess right now. I think they will. They do have a lot more to prove this week. But the Chiefs just best team in September always. Mahomes yet to lose in September. They always put up tons of points in September too, which makes me want to take that over also. But yeah, I think that Chiefs minus 3.5 is pretty easy. I'll lock that one in. Packers, Lions. I think I'm gonna lock in the over on that one. Actually, did not like what I saw on that Packers D. And then if the spread is 11.5, I think that means it has to be like 32-20. I don't think the Lions are going to not score that many points. Lions offense does not look that bad. Jared Goff, he's not great, but he's not that bad. And then the running backs though for the Lions look pretty good. And that Packers run defense is abysmal. And the Lions O-line is pretty solid. Jamal Williams revenge game. Yeah, I'm gonna lock in that over 48.5. Packers, I do think they will bounce back. Joe Barry, I believe, is the D coordinator. He's gotta be just pissed about how that run defense looked. So we'll go with the locks again. Texans 12.5. Rams. I didn't say it was a lock, but I think I'm gonna say Rams 3.5. Bills 3.5. Nothing there. Cardinals 3.5. Over for this game. I kind of want to take it back now, but no, I'm going with it. Falcons Bucks over 51.5. Cowboys Chargers over 55. Chiefs minus 3.5, and then Lions Packers over 48.5. There was one, so I was hesitant on that one. I'm saying it's a pick for me. I was tempted on those, tempted on the Eagles too, but I don't know. I think that one's just a speculative pick, kind of. I think the one most on the fence now for me is Titans plus 5.5. Yeah, I'm not gonna pick it. I think I already have like 6 or 7 anyways. But yeah, those are the picks. Can go through it one more time. Texans 12.5, Rams 3.5, Bills 3.5. Falcons Bucks over, Cowboys Chargers over, Chiefs 3.5, and then Lions Packers over. So those are my picks. You can shit on me if I go under 50%. I doubt I'll go over 50% every week, but I do feel good about this week. I think we know a little bit more. So yeah, that's it for this video. I'll try to come out with the fantasy video, start 'em, sit 'em for players on the fence. I'll probably come out with that video sometime on Saturday. I've got a pretty busy weekend, but I think I should have time Saturday afternoon to do that. But yeah, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.